Hi, I'm Dr. Bliss and I make beer sometimes. Today we're going to make a beer. Unfortunately, it's not an experimental beer. It's nothing weird, it's nothing new, but after the sort of half success of the breakfast lager, I decided I needed to go back to basics, make something that I actually want to drink that's not made of cornflakes. So today we're doing, as promised, an absolute hop bomb. We've got a huge dry hop, well, I mean, not huge, but you know, a decent dry hop. We're doing a New England style IPA, super hazy, super creamy, something in the realm of 6 to 7%. It's a baking hot day, mid-May. It's gonna be quite a tough one, but no place to start but here.
So for water, we're using our normal Ashbeck spring water. We've gone for a quite high mineral profile with a 2:1 or almost 2:1 sulfate to chloride ratio. So all the details are on the screen now.
So the recipe calls for 1.5 kilograms of Pilsner malt. This is Muntons Pilsner malt left over from the breakfast lager. I think there's 1.5 kilos in here. Let's find out. Well, that's 1,352. So I'm guessing probably, yeah. Smells amazing. Okay, next up, I wanted Muntons Craft Pale Malt, but they don't stock it anymore. So this is Muntons Super Pale Malt. It's pale ale malt, that's all that really matters, let's be honest. Whole kilo of that, get in there. .500 grams wheat malt. Got to have wheat in a New England IPA. It's kind of like the rules. Well, this was supposed to be 500 grams of flaked oats, but unfortunately I had some for breakfast. So here's 434 grams of flaked oats. These are just the same porridge oats that I'd used previously. You're okay to use these in a beer because the rolling / flaking process actually pre-gelatinizes it, or at least mostly pre-gelatinizes it. The rest of the gelatinization process can happen during the mash, I believe. I could be wrong on that though, but regardless, these are okay to use. Lots of people use these in New England style IPAs. Quite a lot of New England IPA recipes would kind of stop here, like that's enough. Some pale malt and some Pilsner malt mixed with a decent chunk of oats and a decent chunk of wheat, but I'm going to go a step further. There are some extra additional grains I'm going to add. I'm going to show you them now and then I'm just going to measure them out and pour them in. So, Caram Munich, although this has been labelled Caram Munch, but it is not, it's Caram Munich. It's Viemann's Caram Munich to be specific. It's a caramelised Munich malt, so we're going to get some sweet notes, some bready notes. Not using too much of this, 150 grams. Also going to help contribute to the colour as well, because I like super pale New England IPAs, but I also like those bright orange juice ones. Like, they really get me going. So we're going to go with this, a little bit of this, 150 grams of this, 150 grams of, no wait, not 150 grams. I think 100 grams, I'll double check, 100 grams of Vienna malt. I think that's everything. So I don't know why I said there's like some extras, it's just Vienna malt and Caram Munich. So now that's going, we've got the recirculation pump going at a slow speed. A lot of brewers, I know myself, I definitely did this, when they first get a recirculation pump, they just wang it on full stop, you know, full throttle the whole time. Just like full on Max Verstappen mode. That's not the correct way of doing it. If you do that, you pull the water out of the grain too quickly and the grain bed compacts. And when the grain bed compacts, it becomes much more difficult for water to actually pass through it. So you want to make sure that that grain bed stays sort of spongy so that the water can continue to flow through it. And the best way to do that is to actually keep your flow consistent, not sucking at the water from the bottom and dumping it in the top, because that's just going to squish it down and make it basically a hard, compacted layer of barley, which is not what you want. My original thought was that I was going to need a lot of rice hulls for this. I thought I would check in after like 5 minutes just to see where we're at with rice hulls, but seems to be recirculating okay, so I'm actually not going to worry about it. Efficiency is not usually a problem for me. My efficiency using this system is actually really high, almost annoyingly high. It's actually consistency is my problem. So I'm going to leave it how it is, and I'm going to come back in an hour, and then we're going to do something quite funky, so stay tuned. We've done our mash out stage, time to raise the bed. Close that off, switch that off. Yeah, we'll be right. And plop this over there. Pick this up. Now we first Wort Hop. We're going to go with 6 grams. That should get us to sort of 30 IBUs when we include the other hops as well. Oh, that's 7. That's 6 grams exactly. Yeah, they still smell good. They're still good. So I'm just going to put these in raw, no bag, nothing like that. It's not enough to cause a problem. So let's rock and roll. Oh, that's not going to work, is it? Ah. Future Dr. Bliss here, because I realised I didn't really expand on what I was doing here, and this is a really important part of the overall brew. What I just did is called the first Wort Hop. Now, most of the time that you add hops to a beer, you add it during the boiling stage, either near the beginning of the boiling stage for bitterness or near the end of the boiling stage for flavour and aroma. First Wort Hopping is when you add the hops just after you finish the mash, but before you hit the rolling boil. I won't go into the science too much of what happens because I barely have a grasp on it myself, but what it essentially results in is a much softer, more rounded bitterness, which definitely goes hand in hand with styles like NEIPAs, certain lagers and certain other styles where you want a more rounded, a softer bitterness. But also it helps to release what's called bound thiols. Now, bound thiols is a convoluted topic. Some people seem to believe it's some sort of myth. Other people swear by it. Essentially, it's just a methodology to open up certain precursor compounds so that you can unlock these, if that makes sense. So that is why I'm doing first Wort Hopping, and there won't be any more additions now until after the boil's over. It seems like a good time to start sparging with, of course, the 1 pint stein. We're boiling. Feels really weird to not have to do anything mid-boil. Just gotta wait until I gotta put the wort chiller in, and of course... Oh wait, no, I don't need this. I don't need this. What am I thinking? I don't need this. I don't need Protofloc. This is hazy. I don't need Protofloc. So yeah, I just gotta wait. I've just gotta wait. The chiller is in. The circulation pump is circulating. I didn't get to film much of that because it was really stressful. I bought some new tubing for my immersion chiller, and annoyingly it wasn't working properly, so I had to go scramble and find my old one, but managed to get it in just in time. Got about 10-ish minutes left in the boil, so just gonna let that immersion chiller heat up and sterilize itself, and then the big hop. All right, we're cooling, but I'm on a time crunch now because I've got to get these Flameout additions in. Now, like I said, this is the big one, the big hop, okay? So what have we got today? Well, the true classic Mosaic. We all love Mosaic. It's got here, it says tropical fruit, look, it's fruity. It's fruity as heck, okay? It's mega fruity. That's all you need to know. Love this, American classic. Azaka, never used this. Everyone talks about it. It's supposed to be amazing. It's listed here, it says citrus, mango and pine. So that's kind of cool. Hoping that we get a lot of that mango flavour, tropical vibes. And this is the big one. This is the hop that I am most excited about. This is Superdelic. Probably the most hyped hop currently on the market. I had a beer with this, a single hop beer with this, and it was just phenomenal. This actually only came onto the market in 2023, and this is a 2024 harvest of it, so pretty fresh, pretty new. It has description here of aromas of red fruits, candy, tropical. For me, I definitely got that candy. It was almost like mango ice cream. It was just spot on. So combination of the three going in now. Trying to maximize hop flavor by kind of doing a tea bag action. we are in the low 20s in terms of temperature. So I'm going to pull the chiller out, dump that in there for now. Oh, here we go. Sanitised, fermenter, Firmzilla, everything's been properly sanitised. But Superdelic smells unbelievably good. Mosaic smells like Mosaic, so that's fine. Now Azaka was the one that really surprised me the most. It has a very unique, almost sort of like herbal, but not, really fresh, fruity, like really just like exotic fruit basket smell. Whereas Superdelic and Mosaic are not that far off. Let's seal these up and put them in the fridge. It wouldn't be a Dr. Bliss video without a passionate discussion about yeast. Now, considering using the most hyped hop at the moment, Superdelic, it makes sense to also then go with the most hyped yeast at the moment, the most ultimate hot boy yeast. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to Verdant IPA. No, not Verdant. I love Verdant, but that's not the most hyped yeast right now. The most hyped yeast right now is Pomona, right? Everyone and your uncle is talking about Pomona, all right? Pomona is the one. Modern hybrid IPA yeast, okay? It's a IPA yeast. It's a hazy IPA yeast, okay? Let's be honest, you're not using it for much else. Mega fruity, apparently. Takes off like a rocket. Big Krausen. Great biotransformation properties, so you can do early stage dry hopping, which I'm actually not doing, or at least not planning to do. Maybe I changed my mind. Yeah, it's the bee's knees, apparently. It's the one. It's, you know, for people to say this is better than Verdant for hazy IPAs means it's got to be pre-mega, because Verdant is pretty mega. So I'm looking forward to it. Goodness me, is it expensive? It's probably the most expensive dry yeast you can buy at the moment, which is why I only have one packet, which in retrospect is probably a bit of a silly choice considering, you know, my gravity might be rather high. I haven't actually checked. Should have done that. I didn't think of that. I'll work something out. How did I forget that? That's so annoying. I just broke my siphon, so I can't even do it. It's also disgusting. Oh my goodness. Right, where's my gas? I'm going to gas it up. I'm going to pitch the yeast, gas it up, take a sample. Oh no, look, there might be enough. There might actually be enough. It's a bit trubby, but I'll be able to get just enough from the fermenter. Come on, please, be enough. Right, who knows how accurate that'll actually be, because it's just 90% trub. It's hard to see, but it's pretty much 1060, 1058. Goodness knows if that's actually accurate or not, though, considering it's mostly trub. I don't know if that would push it up or down. Predicted was 1063, and I definitely think that's not quite there. But that's fine, 3 points off, I'll take that. It should still get me within the sort of mid-6s, depending on how well this yeast attenuates, but I've been told it attenuates very hard and fast. So, let's sanitize, let's pitch, let's rock and roll. So it's been 16 hours since I pitched the yeast, and as you can see, it's going along nicely. I don't know if we're quite at high Krausen, but it's a pretty nice puffy Krausen. You could definitely top crop this if you wanted to. So +1 for Pomona if you're interested in that. Now you might be wondering, what on earth is going on here? I'm trying to do this process with as little oxygen as physically possible. So the way I'm going to achieve that is quite a common method, but if you've never seen it before, this is a good example of how it might work in the real world. What you do, you take a keg and you fill it to the brim. I'm talking overflowing, with no rinse sanitizer, preferably Star San, Chem San, an acid-based sanitizer, usually the best for this sort of thing. Then what you do is you connect the gas in post of the fermenter into the gas in post of the keg. What that does is it allows the CO2 generated from fermentation to actually push the sanitizer out of the keg, through the dip tube and out of the keg. What that's going to result in a couple days time, is a completely sanitized keg, 100% full of carbon dioxide. No tiny pocket of air, nothing. It was 100% full of liquid, now it's 100% full of CO2. To collect the sanitizer, because I don't want to just waste all that sanitizer. I've connected the liquid outpost to a tube, which I've just put into a bucket with an overflow bucket because I don't think this is going to hold 19 litres. But as you can kind of see, it is slowly, oh, it's stopped. I've actually broken it. How have I managed that? I consistently don't know what I'm doing, do I? But you could see there was a little stream going on. It was pushing sanitizer out. Side note, we are overheating. There's nothing I can do about it. The end. Quick, quiet update at 11:30 on a Sunday night. As you can hear, things have escalated. We're currently sat at a whopping 24.9 degrees internal temperature, which is a full 3 degrees higher than the recommended range. So I'm pretty disappointed, I can't lie. It really has taken off. Thankfully, I'm going to salvage what I can with the old Spandaruski. It wasn't my intention, wasn't my plan for this beer, but sometimes you got to adapt on the fly. And now I've got to try and get this 19 litres of Star San into a container where I can actually use it. It is Thursday. The beer has been fermenting very well, although it pretty much went mental for 2 days and then did nothing. As you can see, temperature-wise, we are back down into a reasonable range. But I'm thinking I'm going to try and transfer this to the keg on Sunday, which means that today, Thursday, would be a good time to do the big old dry hop. So let's get started. So obviously, first things first, sanitize this nice and good. So I'm just going to shake some of that foam out. I mean, I don't have to fear the foam. We all know that, but now some would say this is a bit excessive. There we go. The Zaka, we're going 30 grams. 30 grams spot on. Mosaic, another 30 grams. And Superdelic, 50 grams. So that'll be the entire packet, I believe. Literally spot on. So 111 gram dry hop in a 15 litre batch. It's about 7 grams per litre. I'm just going to get rid of this little last bit of foam. Yeah, about 7.5 grams a litre, I think, from when I last calculated it. I can't really do the maths in my head, / can't be bothered to do the maths in my head. Let's get this reattached to the fermenter and then let's get this going. Okay, so that's... This is a bit fiddly. No, it wasn't that fiddly. Annoyingly, I put the gas post in a really stupid place. There we go. Oh, that's not that bad. Now, this wouldn't be oxygen-free dry hopping, considering this is full of oxygen right now. So, the plan is quite simple. I'm going to disconnect this Spandaruski. I'm going to lock this to its most maximum tight position. And I'm going to attach it to the top of the post and use the PRV valve in it. So that's going to go on here. Now this is my gas. I'm going to turn it up to, and I'm just going to quickly do this until I can smell CO2, which I can. Just going to give that a quick spray of the old Star San as well. Connect this up here, and that's going to pressurize to 10 psi. Then I'm going to pull this thing and then let go and let it fill up again with CO2. I'm going to do this 7 times, maybe more. That's 5. That's 7. Skadoosh. That'll be my last one. Oh, and my CO2's run out of CO2. Well, I better go get a new one of those. All right, it's now time for the super cool part where I actually release, for the first time, oxygen-free dry hop. Oh, how disgusting. Now, as you can see, it's filling up with beer. Now, it looks a bit gross because this is all the trub and yeast and stuff. But that's not a huge issue, because what we're going to do in a minute is actually close this, charge this up to, let's say, 15 psi, and then leave the main unit at a slightly lower pressure. And then I will release this again, and that will shoot whatever's in here up. And it will shoot the hops up into the beer.
I mean, right now we have dry hopped. I mean, it's dry hopped, but it's not exactly the most efficient way because right now you can see some of these hops are still dry. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to set this to about 15 psi, I reckon. Oh, yeah, I forgot like one of the most important parts of that whole process, which is to actually close the valve. There we go. That's better. Let's try again. Didn't really do what I thought it was going to do. Didn't really work at all. Let's try the lower section instead. Yeah, no, that didn't really do that much, did it? What if we just do what we did earlier that was really bad again? I tell you what, that does something. Pump this bad boy up and let's release the pressure from here. That's like 2 psi now. Let's absolutely send it. This is my last attempt, so. I mean, it did something. If anyone's got any advice or tips, drop a comment. What a shame.
It's Friday morning. As you can see, the hop debris has collected pretty much entirely in this bottom chamber. Not really much going on here, but I've closed the valve, pumped this up to 30 psi and released this down to 0 or close to 0, and I'm about to release the pressure. Now that should get it all going a bit. I'm going to do that again tomorrow and then once more in the morning before I package it. I've just noticed, and it's going to be pretty hard to see, but the stainless steel float has fallen off my dip tube, so that's not good. Nothing I can do about it now. This may be one of the grossest things I have ever seen in my life.
I am currently in my parents' garage, where my keg of my hoppy, super duper hoppy beer, yet unnamed New England IPA thing, is conditioning. I'm about to take it out. Should be carbonated now, because I'm going to drink it this weekend. Apologies for the slightly dishevelled appearance. It's been about 2 weeks since I actually served this brew. I actually ended up serving this brew at my brother's housewarming barbecue. It went down an absolute treat, and unfortunately, this is the only glass left. Now, I actually ended up transferring the last litre or so from the keg into a 2 litre PET bottle, just a lemonade bottle, just so I could clear the keg up a bit. So when I served this beer, it was a week old. Now it's 2 weeks old, but as you can see, it's still got a lovely bright orange colour, so I'm confident it's not oxidised, but it has lost its head, as you can see. I promise you, when we were pouring it at the barbecue, it had an immaculate head, exactly what you'd have expected from a New England. So I'll admit, I already know what this tastes like, but I am keen to see what it tastes like now after a couple of weeks of conditioning, so let's give it a go. Smells pretty much the same, maybe a little bit more muted than before, but absolutely heaps of tropical fruit, some sort of citrus fruits like tangerine sort of thing. It kind of smells like you'd expect from a NEIPA, so that's kind of good, I guess. Wow, it is actually better than it was before. Wow, incredibly smooth and silky, thick. One of the thickest beers I've ever tasted. Some almost described it as syrupy. I wouldn't say syrupy, but it's definitely got a thick and sort of creamy, silky vibe. Definitely you can tell this is a New England that's heavy on the oats, which is kind of how I like New England, so happy with that. There's not a huge noticeable alcohol hit. It's 6.2%. You can kind of get it, but it's nothing major. I'd actually say this is less than the Belgian wit we did for the random beer challenge. This has less of an alcohol bite than that. Now, taste wise, this is just straight up fruit juice. It is tropical fruit, orange juice. It's exactly what you'd expect from hoppy NEIPA. And actually, I'd say now versus when I first served it, it's definitely got a more balanced, let's say, fruit profile. I don't think there was any hop burn, but there was maybe like a little bit of hop burn that contributed to a sort of
There was a background bitterness, but now that seems to have completely faded. It seems like this has really come into its own, and it's really annoying because it's come into its own at a point where it no longer exists because it's all gone, it's all been drunk. And I thought there was gonna be more left over. There was more people at my brother's thing than I thought there'd be. It was almost all gone. By the time that I'd got the keg home, which I know my dad's not particularly pleased about because he also thought this was an amazing beer. So excited about what I can do with oxygen-free dry hopping, because as you can see, this is lovely and bright, it's not been oxidized. All the hop flavors are just big and punchy, so I know that I'm in a good place. NEIPAs are one of my favorite kinds of beers, honestly. Hazy IPAs in general, I tend to prefer them a little bit less sort of thick, if that makes sense, a little bit less heavy, but I love fruity hop forward IPAs, and this is a great one. Yeah, I don't think I'd change anything. I think I'd do it exactly the same. It is absolutely spot on. Now I know this wasn't particularly experimental, it was kind of just a normal grain to glass video, and I hope you're okay with that. I hope you're being patient with me. Life is busy at the moment and I'm trying to make videos and do brews and stuff, but it is difficult. But I promise you we'll have more coming. I have plans for 2 more brews and they're both quite exciting. In the meantime, I'd love it if you could hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, drop a comment if you want. Love to see some comments. Anyway, I'm Dr. Bliss. Go have a beer.